Well, here we are. We're still on the town stretch at Portumna. I fished it for a couple of hours on the jetty last night. I didn't get anything, but you know, this is one of those stretches with a very famous history for producing a lot of fish, and I decided that I'd like to have another go, and Mick feels the same way too. So we've decided to move downstream, and I'm fishing on the feeder. Mick's going to try for pike. Now, many years ago, Portumna was famous for its huge bream catches. Now, for whatever reason, those fish just aren't showing up anymore, but what are here are quality roach bream hybrids. So I'm going to be fishing for those in this deep water on the feeder. Mick's going to put a couple of pike rods out, and with any luck, even if I don't catch, he might pick up a couple of big extra bonus fish.
Now at the moment I've only got one rod fishing, I've only got one bait. I did manage to scrounge a roach off a guy up by the bridge, and what I'm actually doing is fishing the swim down below where Matt's fishing. He's putting plenty of ground bait and maggots in. Hopefully some of it will be washed through my swim, start drawing the roach into this area, and maybe a pike might follow. At this stage not a lot's happening, but we've got a bit of time yet. And what I really need to do is get another bait for this second rod.
That's not what I wanted. Well, there's my first fish. Every fisherman's nightmare. A little eel. And basically these things just tie themselves up in knots. Desperately difficult to unhook. And you've heard of the phrase slippery as an eel. Well, look at this. This is the sort of pickle that Mick normally gets himself into, as this eel knots itself around my hand like some kind of python. These fish spend large parts of their lives in fresh water before heading out to the salt water to actually breed. Now, no one knows for sure where eels go. It's thought that they go to breed in the Sargasso Sea, and that's all freshwater eels in the world going on this incredible journey. And years ago, people used to kill them in large numbers, but thankfully now, more of them are put back. And in fact, I'm just going to put this fish back in. There he goes. And in fact, one of the interesting things about eels is that at the moment, we've got a European-wide eel shortage. And it's something to do with a parasite. I'm not really up on the science of it, but when I look back to the years when I was a kid, the rivers were full of small eels like that bootlace eel there, and now you hardly ever catch one. And apparently it's all to do with this parasite. And yet the crazy thing is that councils and government continue to allow people to net the elvers, the young eels, in huge quantities. Anyway, I'm rambling on and on my soapbox, but all started off by catching a small eel. It's not there, mate. Thought I'd got him. It's not going very well, really. I'm actually struggling, believe it or not, to see the bites. Because of the amount of stretch in the mono line, I think I'm getting bites that I'm not even seeing. So I'm going to make a tactical switch. I'm going to put on a braided main line instead of this mono. And I'm also going to switch to a softer quiver tip and see if I can nail some of these suckers, because they're driving me nuts. I'm just hoping that a couple of tweaks like this will switch the fish on. Well, there's the braided line. It's a different colour to the mono. As you can see, the feeder runs on a large loop. If it comes up against the backstop there, it will help to hook the fish if the fish runs off with the bait. Then below that there's another loop and then a smaller loop. Basically, that system helps to prevent tangles. It's very easy to set up, but it's very, very effective too. But I'm also going to go down on hook size. I've been using a 16. I'm going to go down to a size 18 spade end hook. Little setup, smaller hook, braided line, feeder. They've got no chance, have they? Well, at long last, I'm into a fish on the braid. It's quite interesting, actually. I went through a spate where I got cut off on the zebra mussel, so I've taken to propping the rod up quite high to try and get the line at quite a sharp angle, and it's worked. I just had a couple of little knocks and then a pull over and I'm into a fish. It's interesting that Mick and I were debating what fish were responsible for the little bites that I was getting, and Mick was convinced they were very small fish. Ah, right. He also suggested they might be eels. And he's absolutely right. And now I've got to deal with this. Come here, baby. That's the last thing you want to do is hook one of the... Ah, he's got me. Got to look out, though. There he is. Go on, give me my eel back.
I predicted this is what it was. He's got a swim full of little eels, and he tried to convince me that they were hybrids and roach. I've never heard such nonsense in all my life.
So, what are you going to give me for that, then?
12 ounces.
That's a pound, that is.
All right, I'll give you a pound. Let's put him back, Matt. It's a shame to...
Yeah, go on.
Eels are getting rarer, you know. We ought to put it straight back. Go on, Mr. Eel. Off you go. Well, it provided me with a bit of entertainment. I hope it did you as well.
Well, here we are. We're still at Portumna on the River Shannon, and you know, before this leg of the journey started, we got 94 pounds of fish in our keep net, giving us 94 miles to travel. Well, we've used up 14 so far on this leg, so we're down to 80 pounds. That may sound pretty good, but we know there are some very, very difficult legs ahead of us. And talking of tough times, we're really struggling to catch fish here, aren't we, Mick?
We are. I mean, we stopped here because this is a renowned venue for good roach, bream, hybrids and for pike, especially at this time of year. But have you noticed one thing, man? Can you see one other angler within sight?
No.
And that's telling me the fishing's not very good at the moment. Where there's good fishing, you get plenty of anglers, and I think we're probably on a very good venue, which depends a lot on migratory fish, but we're here at the wrong time, I'd say.
Well, you could be right. I mean, it begs the question what we're going to do about it.
Well, you've got to remember it's not just catching a weight of fish. We've got to cover the miles within a certain time. Maybe give it another hour, maybe two, but then think about moving on.
OK, well, that seems like a good plan to me.
Yeah.
We desperately need to add fish into the keep net because as we move on through the journey, particularly as we cross the Irish Sea, we come to the Welsh leg, and that's going to be hard. And you know, we're going to need a fat reserve of fish in the net to carry us through that difficult period, so we need to take fish with us across the ocean, and well, at the moment, it's not looking too good. That's the start. There he is. Classic roach bream hybrid. The hook's fallen out, which is very valuable points actually, so I'm pleased about that. Let's just hope there's a few more to follow.